Hi, this is Deborah Brooks. I want to do just a short video here on writing a simple outline. This is the simplest of outlines with just a thesis statement and breaking it down into 2 to 4 parts. You need to organize your essays. So why do you need an outline at all? Well, if you don't have an outline, you start out and you have no idea where you're going. You may change direction and something catches your attention and you go off in some other direction. It has no coherence. It won't hold together. But if you make a clear outline, you already know where you're going, and it's going to be much easier, much more coherent, and make sense. So first, you want to look at the prompt. What's the question you're being asked? What is it you're having to write about? What is the question? Look at the prompt carefully. What is it you need to answer? What do you need to explain? Think about your real answer to that question. If you are real, your writing will be better because your ideas will be stronger and clearer. Example question. This is an easy question, probably not really academic, but it will show that you can make an outline about pretty much anything. Does TV watching have a good or bad influence on modern society? Now, if you were asked that question and you had to just quickly sit down and write an essay, the first thing you want to do is write an answer to that question. So pick a side. Pick a side. Write a short sentence that states your answer to the question. If you think TV is bad, write a sentence like, TV has a destructive influence on modern society. If you think TV is good, write a sentence like, TV has brought great advantages to modern society. Those are both general answers. They are not specific examples. You will give your examples later, but you do need to state your opinion in one sentence. Answer the question. Now we're going to break that down. So what are the reasons why you think that? How will you convince me that that is the right answer? So list 2 to 4 reasons, examples, support points that will support your thesis, your statement, your opinion, your answer to the question. So, for example, on the negative side, if TV has a destructive influence on modern society, I want to think of 2 to 4 reasons why that's true, 2 to 4 examples I can give to convince my reader that that is the case. So, TV has too much sexuality and bad sex examples, too much violence, and couch potato health issues, meaning if we sit still for too long, we don't get exercise and we get fat. So those are 3 areas. I can talk about each of those 3 areas in a paragraph or more. If you choose the other side, TV has brought great advantages to modern society. Now, what are 3 examples? You want 2 to 4. You can go to 5, but you don't want to have a lot of topics in a list and just one's not good enough. So you want 2 to 4 examples is best. So, for example, advantages, education, entertainment, and international connections. Those are all advantages that have been brought by TV. And those are all things that I can write a paragraph or more about. You can argue either side. In U.S. culture, there is no right answer. We like a good argument. You can choose any side. You just need to support it and convince me. I can fully and strongly write either of those essays about the TV. I really do believe TV has a destructive influence, but I also really believe that TV brings us some advantages. So both of those are things I really believe. Find what you really believe. Your essay will be stronger and it will be easier to write. Pick a side. Don't waver. You don't have to say, but I can kind of see the other side. No, Pick a side and be strong with it. That doesn't mean I couldn't completely write the other essay too. Another example question: does having computers in the classroom improve learning? Why or why not? So you think about that. Think about your real opinion, your real answer. Pick a side. Unless your teacher asks you to do a pro and con, advantages and disadvantages, more likely you're going to be asked to do an argument that you need to pick a side and defend it. Give me examples, give me support so that I will understand that your perspective makes sense. So, yes or no? Do computers add to education? If you think yes, you write a sentence like, computers give more information in interesting ways. If you think no, you write a sentence like, reliance on computers takes away from human communication. Now, that thesis statement, you will then find reasons and support for that statement. The one about communication needs to be all about communication. So, think through the reasons, and when you think of some examples or support, what can you talk about? And what can you talk about in a paragraph or more, not just one sentence? What do you have enough to say about that you can explain it in a paragraph or more? Computers give more information in interesting ways. So for that thesis, I would go first with multimedia, the audio, the video, the more fun, exciting, new ways of sharing the information. That it's accessible to all. It gives more information, but it does it in ways that anybody can get to. And there are so many sites with so many options. There's so much information, and it's really fun to find it and to use all of the different ones, finding what works best for you. So those are 3 good reasons about computers give more information in interesting ways. On the other side, if I wanted to give the other argument, and I absolutely could give either of these arguments very forcefully, reliance on computers takes away from human communication. So how would I support that? For example, it's too passive and remote. People are looking down at their phone instead of talking to each other. They're reading on the screen instead of having a discussion in person. There's a reading-writing focus, not the oral communication. You can do oral communication through a computer, of course, as I am doing right now, but often when you get on a screen, you're just stuck on that screen and it's all reading. And some teachers let the computer teach, and students miss that teacher's expertise. You're just looking at stuff that's posted and not really getting a lot of that teacher. So those are 3 ways that reliance on computers takes away from human communication. All of the examples need to match that thesis. Each of the examples has to support that same thesis. I can argue either side of almost any question. If you find what you really feel and believe, and make the points that you would really make to convince a friend of this point, think of the examples that you would use to demonstrate that point. If you are real, it will be a stronger essay, and it will be easier to write. Use your real opinion. When do you need an outline? Well, at school, you need an outline anytime you write, but also for an oral presentation. You want to have an introduction, make some points, have a conclusion. Even if you're telling a story, you want that story to have coherence, to have a beginning, a middle, and an end that makes sense. At work, if you want to give a business report, you definitely want an introduction, main points, and a conclusion. Before you write an email to convince someone of something you're not sure they'll understand, something that you really need to explain clearly and get your point across, you want to make your point, explain it, and clarify your point again so that they know what it is they need to understand. So the process: get the prompt or assignment, what it is you need to write about. Think about your main point. What is your real answer to that question? Think about 2 to 4 ways to explain that to somebody who might not already understand. Think about convincing them. Write a short outline, and most importantly, follow that outline. Sometimes my students will write a lovely outline and then start writing and go off on some other tangent. You need to actually follow that outline. Use it. Let that outline guide your writing. It will make it easier to write. It will make it easier to stay focused. This will make your writing or presentation clear, coherent, easy to follow, and interesting. You can do it. Always write an outline.